everybody, it's Chris from Baby Lock. So one of the biggest questions or comments that I hear is, how do I handle a curve on a serger? How do I handle doing something like that concave curve or something like that convex curve when I'm on a serger? Meaning keeping that same curve as I'm stitching, not cutting away too much, keeping that stitch length and that stitch looking even from point to point and along that fabric edge. I thought that the best way to show you how I handle this was to show you on a sleeve, because a sleeve typically will have both of those curves, right? And again, I've got that 3-thread wide overlock set up. You can use a 4-thread overlock if you want. You could use a 3-thread narrow if you want. It just kind of depends upon the project. When I'm stitching, one of the biggest things I personally have had to learn to do is to slow down a little bit. So because I have a speed control on my machines, I actually just take that speed control down a little bit. And the reason I do that is because this is going to require a little bit of handwork, meaning your hands are going to have a very important task while you're doing this. So I am going to trim off just a little bit of that fabric edge as I'm stitching. And I always use kind of this outside edge of that needle plate as my guide. Now, when you're working with what we call a concave curve, you can see how that's caving in. You would think you would just take your fabric in that manner, right? What you want to do is you actually want to straighten that out. So as I'm straightening this out, let me just get this started, you can see that my fabric is kind of building up here on that left side. That's okay. Don't worry about that. You want to keep that curve straight. And I'm just going to keep stitching, and you can see where my fingers are. They're either sitting in front here helping, or I oftentimes leave them on the side here so that that fabric doesn't slide out from underneath the presser foot. And it also keeps it closer to that cutting blade. So meaning that fabric edge rides right up against that cutting blade right here, which puts it in the right spot for the stitching to catch on that back side. So I'm going to keep stitching. And now I'm going to be on that upward swing to that arm's eye right up here, or arm cap, sorry, the sleeve cap. I'm just going to keep stitching. Again, keeping that fabric edge here. I'm always watching what's going on here. I'm not worrying about that needle. Okay, and here I'm going to start on that really tight curve. And this is where those fingers or my hands really do the work, and I go a little bit slower. Again, always keeping this even here. And what this is going to require you to do is to kind of move or guide that fabric edge along the edge here. Okay, and if you want to, you can adjust your foot pressure if you have that option, but you don't have to. I typically don't. And you can see I'm just stitching, and I'm stitching, and keeping that guiding. And I will tell you guys, I do trim fabric. Some people don't trim fabric, but I find that if I trim a little bit of fabric, that really helps. And now I'm on that downward slide. I'm going to keep going down. And again, now I'm coming to that concave curve. So this is what you're going to do. You're going to straighten that fabric edge out as you're stitching. Keep it straight all the way through. And this is where I find a lot of individuals take their hands away and let everything slide through. I actually keep my fingers on that fabric until this last fabric edge has gone past the needle. So you see how I'm keeping that. That prevents that fabric from shifting on me again. All the way to the end. And I'm done. And we'll take a look at our nice curve. There's your concave. We're going all the way up to that convex portion, coming back down, and then at the end. And that's how easy it is. Okay, takes sometimes a couple of dry runs or a couple practices. Doing a pocket would be the same principle. This is actually an entire convex because you're literally going around that circle. Same principle. Keep this fabric edge right here, or whatever your seam allowance might be, trimming that off to create that curve while you're stitching. And then lastly, if you want to have a little fun, you can use a decorative thread. And then again, that's just another curve using a decorative thread to create a great little embellishment to whatever project you happen to be working on. So that's how you're going to handle curves on your serger. Again, I think the 3 principles or a couple principles are: slow down, make sure you use your hands, watch what's happening in front of the presser foot, not by the needle, and I think you'll be really successful. So until next time, see you later. Bye. Thank you.